Hello everyone, good afternoon. This is Prateek. Thank you for joining. All right, guys, I'll share my screen. Okay, so a bit introduction about myself. This is Prateek, and I've been in the RP industry from the last 10 years and been working with UiPath from it's been a couple of years. I've been working with UiPath in more than 7 years, and I'm certified at all levels. So this session is more about giving you a quick, overview through the UiPath tool and a bit introduction about RPA. All right. So we'll start, guys. And I have a small demo planned at the end. So, we'll see the bot in action at the end also. All right. And feel free to utilize the chat. If you have any questions, feel free to put it there. I'll try and check it at the end of the session. Thank you, guys. All right. Now RPA. And we've been hearing this word RPA from quite some time now. And, the buzz in the market is still there about RPA. Now this comprises of three words: robotics, process, and automation. So if I talk about in layman terms, this is basically automating your daily task. So whichever task is being done manually right now should be taken over by the software or services that we build, and it should be automated at a later point. Now, what this means technically, and how this has been laid out by different organizations, let's look into that. So robotics process automation, let's read the first one, is a capability that is software and services that allows a virtual workforce termed as bots. Now, let me stop here for a bit. Why we name it as bots here? Because this is different from the kind of bots that we see, or basically the hardware robots that we see, because we are building either software or services. So we have a term here as bots. So it is basically software and services that allows a virtual workforce. Now, why virtual workforce? Because this is something that is not there in the office, but it's assisting humans. So it's kind of a virtual workforce, which is there in the office. The rest of the procedures are done same for the bot. That means, an ID for the bot, and, you allot a system for the bot. It's running on the server, is there. It's assisting us, but it's not present physically. That is why we call this as virtual workforce. So basically, it's software and services that allows a virtual workforce termed as bots to transact in any of your company's systems in the same way a human would to perform complex web-based activities. Now, basically, we are building up bots and we're trying to mimic the activities same way in the fashion a human is doing right now. And since RP is in a very mature phase right now, we try and emulate the bot in such a way that it does the activities even better than human. So, there's a bit of process improvement and process reengineering activities also being done. So process standardization, process improvement, process reengineering are also some activities which are being done today along with RPA. So it's sometimes bot is overperforming the humans as well. Okay, let's look at so the other way of putting this as, in other words, we can say that this is the use of software basically to mimic the actions of a user, right? Actions of a human user would perform on a PC at scale to automate business processes. Now, RPA has been targeting the business processes at various domains. Now it has penetration into a lot of domains, whether you include banking, you include finance, insurance, supply chain. I mean, these were the earlier domains that were hit a couple of years ago. And if you look at right now, it's into healthcare, it's into oil and gas. Basically, RPA has penetration into a lot of domains right now. And, this could be any job, not just, what we see around the business processes, but this could be, an automatable job of a colleague that is sitting next to you, or this could be somebody who's sitting across the geographies, right? It is simply a concept that leverages virtual software robots called as bots that emulates human interaction with the systems to automate existing user actions. So basically what humans are doing right now, bot is going to emulate those actions. And, so once bot takes over, so we call this as, a software is taking over human actions. So this is what we basically mean by RPA. So basically, bot will pick up the actions being done by the user, and then, it will start doing those actions on its own. So this is what RPA is all about. Now not spending too much time on the introduction of RPA. I hope you got the gist of what you're trying to do. But there are few concepts around RPA, and all the myths have been busted right now because RPA is in so much mature phase. We've been seeing success stories a lot these days into RPA. When RPA actually started, there were a lot of failure stories. So market was a bit unstable, and there was hesitation from the customer to invest into RPA, but that is not the phase right now. RPA vendors are very stable, the tools are stable, automations are working across. There have been success stories from everywhere. And no doubt in claiming that UiPath right now is the leader in RPA. It's a leading tool, and it's been used across geographies, and it's being adopted as a partner in a lot of organizations. So either one way or the other, you might end up using UiPath. All right. Now, not just for developers, but UiPath has also come up for, kind of citizen developers or maybe business users. So, it has a platform for everything right now. So there are a lot of varieties of products coming in from UiPath. All right. Okay. Now, before I go deep into presentation, let's take a look at today's agenda. All right. So we'll see a bit about the look and feel of UiPath. How does UiPath look like? And, we'll see, involve more into tool the UiPath Studio, what different panels are there, and how it supports in our day-to-day activities, and if the things that we are talking about, is UiPath actually easy to use for a new developer or maybe for a business user, and how easy is it to use. So in today's presentation, I'll be showcasing UiPath Studio, not Studio X, because Studio, I would say, it's more usable and it's more spread out in the market at the moment, and Studio X is again for a different kind of business set of users. And we will look at some of the tools from UiPath or some of the products that UiPath company has. So basically, we'll look at Orchestrator, and we'll see, what applications UiPath can interact with, and we'll see a bit of, what products UiPath has to offer. And lastly, I have a small demo plan where, we'll see the bot in action, how bot interacts with a particular kind of application that I've built, and we'll see a small demo on that. All right. Then let's not waste any more time. We'll come back to this slide, and look at more, products on UiPath. Before that, I just want to show you a quick overview of UiPath 2. All right. Okay, so the symbol that you see, kind of an S broken symbol, this is of UiPath Studio. So when you install UiPath, this comes with a community edition. So basically, pretty much all the features are free of cost. You can use it the way you want. And this is the first tool which is to offer, a free community edition for all. If you remember prior to this, the other tools, they were not, they had a trial period. The trial period used to expire, but not with UiPath. Until unless UiPath came up with it, spread like a fire in the market, because, the learning procedure was free. They had good LMS. The learning management system was, they had a good LMS system. They had videos, demos, and, even documentation online. And then their tool was free. Their cloud platform was free, basically. So, the learning, it enabled the users to actually, learn quickly and then move on to projects. That is why, it started becoming more and more popular. So this is how your UiPath, homepage looks like, where you have different kind of templates at the bottom. You have different kind of processes or libraries that you can create. You have, different kind of projects that you already built previously. You can also connect it to different version repositories. You can connect it to Git, TFS, or SVN. Let's start by, building a small process, and we'll see, what panels are there. So I'll just say UiPath demo 1, and just hit create. It'll take a couple of seconds just to, ready my workspace. And we'll see, how is UiPath in look and feel, and, what panels are there, and what special features does UiPath offer, what kind of wizards are there, which actually helps us in development. Now, it's not just the dev environment which UiPath offers. I mean, this was one of the initial offerings that UiPath had, but right now it is into, it has a test manager of its own. It has an automation hub where, the ideation of the pipeline, managing the pipeline, or the ideation journey of the UiPath processes is there. Then we had a kind of a control room, web control room. Then it has an assistant. Then there is chat ops. There is automation ops. So, basically it went on to the entire ecosystem of automation. So now UiPath is not just more about RPA tool, but it basically is covering the entire ecosystem. And, that is where, companies headed to right now. So once my project opens, okay. So this is the look and feel of UiPath. If you see, once your project opens, this kind of a, this kind of a UI that you see. So on the top, if you see, there is a ribbon for design, which helps developer design their bots. There is a ribbon for debug, which there are troubleshooting features. You can remotely debug. You can have a sessions of of your system RDP running your bot side by side, and even you can work. So in majorly, I've seen, most RPA tools, if you're running your bot, you're not able to do anything on your system because bot takes the control from the user. But UiPath has come up with a feature which is picture in picture. And we have been seeing this feature in YouTube, even in WhatsApp, that if you're looking at a video, you can do something side by side. So same feature UiPath has also come up with, that if your bot is running, it can run in a separate session on your system, and then you can continue your activities on your system. So we have those kind of, enthralling features in UiPath. Now, design tab, you would see, there are a couple of features like recording is there, screen scraping is there. You can scrape data from websites very easily. You can record any of the features. So, I'll just quickly show you a, recording feature from UiPath. Let's say I want to record a calculator. This could be any business application. I'm just showing a calculator because it's very easily available. Okay. So you could record anything on a business application. So we have multiple kinds of recorders for different platforms. So we have desktop, app and web recorder. We have web, image, and whatnot, right? So let's say I want to record for a desktop. And so the recording opens. Okay, just a second. Let me open recorder here. I think, yeah. Okay. So once I hit record, whatever actions I perform over the application would be recorded in the UiPath. So let's just try that. So let's say I want to click on key 1. And I want to add with key 2 and hit equal to, and you see the sum. And then I press escape, save and exit. And if you see, your actions have been recording. Now this feature is there in some of the tools is there, but I haven't seen this feature used so extensively in any other tool. So UiPath does have, a lot of different recording platforms where it works on images. It has a separate recorder for Citrix. It has computer vision where, you can record features through RDP. And if you see, your sequence or your workflows are automatically prepared. So, most of the things it can automatically record. Now, if you're a professional user, you can just tweak this a little bit and your automation is all plug and play. It's ready to go, right? So this is one of the feature. Then you can link it to your test manager. If you're from a testing team and if you want to link your test manager, your test cases, you can run your automated test cases here. You can create your test kits from here. You can. So basically, earlier there was a limitation regarding testing that, RPA solutions can only be tested by the ones who already know RPA, but that is no more the case because, testing integration has been so well done in UiPath. So it's just a matter of a tester guy to run the automation scripts. Again, the designing part of test cases is again, it leads to, developers. So yeah. Then now UiPath can interact with many applications through business. So I've been working with around 300, 400 projects I've worked in the last couple of years. And I've seen UiPath interacting well with most of the business applications. Now, not just, you have to, like in various tools, you have to get around and figure out the config files, find where the application is, configure a lot of things, and then you're able to work with applications. And, might be everybody's not so technically sound with all the business applications because some of the business applications you might be seeing for the first time, but that is not with UiPath. So UiPath has, provided pre-built packages and libraries for pretty much most of the applications. And with its latest feature integration services, we have a lot of packages already there. Let's say I'll give you some example. So this managed packages, this gives me the packages from the entire marketplace. So even, there are packages from individuals, there are packages from third-party vendors, even there are packages from UiPath. But what is recommended that you use packages from UiPath because they provide support on that, right? So let's say I'll go on the official and let's say I want to work with PDF. So you see there are 2 PDF packages from UiPath. So you don't have to worry about working with the PDF. So you just go here and hit install and it would, you can work on PDF directly. Let's say you want to work on a mainframe. So you have a terminal package for mainframe. You see terminal activities by UiPath. Now, again, like I said, there are third-party packages from a lot of there. If you search in all packages, you would find a bunch of packages from third-party vendors. So if you see Appium, Bouncy Castle, Josh, even some from UiPath team members have put their packages. Even you can publish your own packages here. But again, if you use UiPath packages, you would get a support from that. And if you're using third-party packages, there's a catch. Third party might support it or might not support it. Now, let's say you're working with SAP. So there is an integration service for SAP already there from UiPath. So you can directly use SAP from here. Same thing from Salesforce. If you're using Salesforce application, there are packages for Salesforce as well. If you're using ServiceNow application, there are ServiceNow activities as well. So most of the business, these are the most common applications that you've seen. So even Microsoft, Google Sheets, let's say if you're working on OCR, right? So there is Amazon Tech Stack is there. So Amazon Tech Stack, UiPath OCR activities there, OCR contracts is there, intelligent OCR is there, right? And let's say if you want to work on an image, I mean, in other tools, if you go for the options, you hardly have so many options to work on image. But if you look at the list here, there is image processing by there. Then there is Microsoft, official package from UiPath. Now, what UiPath has done is, since vendors like SAP, Salesforce, Microsoft, UiPath has gone and partnered with these vendors. So, UiPath can build up these packages officially, and, they're firing APIs inside, so they can directly integrate with these systems. So you just have to, create your credentials. Once your credentials are ready, you can directly use these packages to hit the APIs that they're corresponding with. So, most the other tools have actually built up packages by, integrating with the application, whereas UiPath has gone to these vendors, formed the integration services, created the activities, and then which is pretty much very easy to use. So you have Microsoft Vision, you have Google Vision, and you have a bunch of more packages for just image processing. Right. So we've covered mainframe, and desktop and web, and these are very common. So you get this by default in your installation package. I mean, so other things you can go and download as well. So this was more about what kind of applications UiPath can support. Let's say anything. So if you want to work on credentials, you see there is credential management, credential activities by UiPath. If you want to work on CyberArk is there. So pretty much in every field, if you want to look for some ERP system, I'm not saying this is there for all the applications, but the applications which are used most commonly across IT, it's there. So it supports basically all the email types. Okay. So I mean, you can go and download this from managed packages. It's available very easily, right? Now, and even UiPath has partnered with AWS, so you can create machines on the go. You can configure anything on the go. So even those kind of things are there. Now, let's say if you want to work on any email, so you have a lot of options for email. So if you see, you have IMAP protocols, you have Outlook, POP3, SMTP, and then again, there are Gmail and Outlook integrations as well through integration services. Now, not just these, if you have any custom built email, you have the server details, you can directly go and configure these emails as well. Right. Now, UiPath also has an internal kind of a database which we call as entity services, in which your temporary data through RPA, you can store it in this entity services. So you can utilize, because most of the time what we've seen is we are connecting third-party database to UiPath, maybe storing the logs in SQL or maybe some other application. So for that purpose, if it's internal to UiPath, entity services is there, you can build your own structure, you can store the data there, and there would be no third-party latency or lag in interacting with an application. Because there's a saying in RPA, the more the number of applications your project has, the more unstable it will be, and it'll take time to stabilize, because there is dependency on a lot of third-party applications. So UiPath has done a terrific job in decreasing that latency time or decreasing that dependency on third-party applications, because it has its own entity services. Right. No, not just that. So if you look at the panels here, so we have output panel where you can display all your results here. We have activities panel. Now these activities panels are all the bunch of activities that UiPath offers by default. That means if you create a blank project, like the one I just created right now, you can see Excel, mail, system activities, testing activities, UI automation activities. So that comes in as a default with every blank project. So you don't have to go and install these default packages, right? So if you go for activities, let's say I search for system activities. Now, all the system resources, whether it's file, environment, it's clipboard, whether it's a shared resource, running PowerShell script, working on VB or working on file system. So you see all the activities has already been laid out. And this is there by default for every project that you create. Now, not necessarily you have to use them, but you can go and delete them as well. So you can go and remove any package if you think you are not using any of this. This is kind of a background process. You can just right click and say remove dependency. But yeah, UiPath realized this is one of the most common dependencies being used in every other project, so they kind of included in the default set. Similarly, so we've looked at mail. If you look at Excel, now when RP actually started, we hardly had so many activities with Excel. Then user maybe a professional developer had to code and then work out with solutions, maybe use some third-party add-ins or plugins to work with Excels. Not because not so many activities were exposed. We had to write maybe a VBA code or something to get the Excel things done. But if you look at the extensiveness right now with Excel, so not just these, if you look at the kind of activity set that Excel, the UiPath has to offer, there are a bunch of functions already there. And you can pretty much achieve anything with this. So the basic activity set is so strong that before even a developer thinks of doing a third-party solution, I would suggest look twice into what UiPath has to offer, and you would pretty much find everything here. Right? Yeah. So this was more of about activities panel. And then we have the project panel set where we see dependencies, what packages are there installed by default. Then we get a main XAML, like a starting point for our executions. Then we have a JSON file, which basically includes all the information about your process, what dependencies, what is the name, who created it, and all those kind of information regarding your process. So you have that kind of setup as well. Now, since this is built in entirely in .NET, so it basically follows a bit of .NET structure and compilation. So and there is a inbuilt compiler as well. Right. And there are some inbuilt snippets. So this is the snippets panel. There is inbuilt snippets which you can use across your program. If you use a delay for 1 second, if you have using a for each. So they've built some pages because if a developer is confused using these activities, you can go and refer their snippets and use it along the way. Right. Then we have an error list. Now error list is for we have an analyzer in UiPath. So this is a workflow analyzer, and we can validate the file. We can analyze the file here. So there are two kinds of validation analysis possible in UiPath. Let's say if you want to check for any syntax errors, or maybe any for semantics errors, or maybe any dependencies issues, or maybe some file you've not named properly. So this comprises of basically all the standards. You can set up custom rules for your team so that before even publishing, or before even moving or migrating the process to any other environment, they can follow this analyzer. So basically, analyzer tells you if there are any compile time errors, there are any dependencies issues, or any naming convention or any standards have not been followed by developers. So this tool could be used very vastly, and I've seen this being used in enterprise automation where you have a big team and it's difficult to manage each and every process. You put some custom rules here where developer can, and it's a mandate for developer to follow because he doesn't have to run the analyzer. It just implies as a mandate if it's being pushed from the admin side. Yep. Then, yeah. So this is more about the error list panel. Then on my left-hand side, we have a couple of more panels here. So let's start with the object repository. Object repository. Now, most of the errors in RPA we have seen, you build up a strong process, but even if a small element or a button fails, that means even a smallest error can fail the biggest of automations, right? So what UiPath decided to leverage this kind of concept that you separate the element part from the functional side. That means the interaction with the application, that means the elements of the UI, and the functional side of the process. So basically these two elements have been kept separate so that if there is some failure on the element side or the UI side of the application, you can come here in the repository and edit that element only. So you don't have to go through the regression testing for your entire process. Because if an element change happens, environment changes happen, or maybe application is not loading properly, or some of the errors, maybe some pop-up is blocking it. If anything new happens in your application, you do not have to touch your entire process. You can come and just edit your object repository. So object repository is basically kind of a repo which is storing your UI elements or your entire kind of a hierarchy tree of your entire application, and you have the option to build it the way you see the application on the UI. So basically, it's kind of a UI to a tree kind of a laid down structure, right? Then you have outline. Now outline, sometimes it's difficult to navigate through processes because as let's say, if you're doing a development for 2 or 3 months and your project will gradually increase in size. So you have this outline panel where if you just click the activity, it directly takes you control to those pages. So right now there is only one page, but yeah, if I add more pages, this outline panel will keep on increasing. And it offers easy navigation for your entire projects. Then we have the properties panel. This properties panel, if you know about any framework, this is similar to any other framework that we use. So every element has its own properties, if you see, and you can customize and set these own properties. So, and even these properties, not if you don't want to set individual properties, there are options to set these properties at the project level as well. So you have the settings here where you can set global properties so that if you want developer to follow some of these properties, you do not have to specify in a document. You can just lay down the properties here, and that would be automatically pushed to the every developer's project who are connected to the same server, right? So you have the properties at the global level as well. Then we have test manager. Now test manager is again for rather testing teams who connected their test manager through this. You can connect to Jira or you can connect to any other test manager you like. You can create your test cases, run your automated test cases, and it will give you the results there. So it also gives you, what are the test results, your activity coverage, and your descriptor coverage. So basically, like in other frameworks, we have code coverage, and is it covering all the scenarios? The same kind of model has been built here as well. Now, why is this helpful if we have other tools as well? Because it reduces the third-party integration. If you have a tool which pretty much does everything, why do you want to integrate a third party? But yeah, I understand in some cases, it's a limitation from the customer that we are already using, or we have kind of partnership with Jira. You want to use that. That is also feasible. You can come and integrate Jira in this test manager as well. So test manager directly connects with Jira, and you can import your test cases here. Then we have data manager, which basically lists down all your resources, whatever you're using in a project, and this connects with my cloud environment as well. That means UiPath has a cloud control room kind of thing, which is called as Orchestrator, and it pulls all the resources from there. So what processes are published, what environment variables or assets are there, and what entities do we have, what resources, what variables are we using the project. So basically, you can keep in touch all of these here, right? So this is data manager, and then at the bottom we have 3 more panels, and this is these 3 panels are specific for development, where you can create variables, local variables. You can create arguments for input output variables, and you have imports. Now, like I said, this is mostly built in .NET, and the newer version is following 4.6 and 6.0 version and onwards. And depending upon the version you use, you can import any namespace you like, and you can use it directly in your program. So if I give you an example, let's say system dot, you can see all the namespaces are exposed here. So I mean, that is the beauty of UiPath. You have the entire exposure of .NET. And same thing goes with the variable. If you have to create, like, now most of the basic variables are there in all the RPA tools. So, where you have string, Boolean, and all that. But apart from that, UiPath offers the entire set of variables that are there in the .NET framework. So if you go for browse for types, you have a probably, a Pandora box of variables. So if you search for HTTP handler, so you get variables for HTTP handler. Let's say if you are searching for any dictionary hash set, maybe, some variables which are not there, which are not usually there. So let's say I search for dictionary, and you can see a dictionary here, right? Let's say if I search for a list or a collection, basically any enumerable type, anything you want to search for, even mail message activity. So you pretty much find everything, all the .NET variable types here. And again, you can import more namespaces, and you would get your private. You can get your specific type here as well, right? Okay, so this is more about panels, and then we have debug, where you can, again, the common activities are there. You can use breakpoints. You can use step-by-step guided execution of the bot. You can have breakpoints. You can slow down the execution. Now this is only for debug mode. If you're testing your bot, you have an execution trail. You can highlight the elements. You can log these activities. You can do picture-in-picture execution. You can do a remote debugging of your bots, right? So again, I haven't seen exception handling so vast in any other RP tools, where so many wizards and features supporting your just debugging. So again, it's completely a framework now. It's no more just an RPA tool. So you have all the features already there, right? Okay. So this is more of about design, debug, and all the panels from RPA. And if you look at home, we have some things there as well. So UiPath has laid out the templates which the users can utilize. So for even for background processes. Now there are varieties of processes which can automate. Like I said, RPA is into a mature phase right now. It's no more just about dragging and dropping and just automating simple processes. So RPA has entered into a phase where it's automating background processes. It's automating attended automations, like where human assistance is there. It's automating orchestration processes wherein bot could be suspended for some time and then it picks up an item after some time. It is also template based, transactional. So there is an REF template which is widely used across the world. I mean, most of the clients I've seen using REF or maybe a bit customized version of REF. Then there are test automation frameworks. There is SAP testing projects. So the most commonly used templates are there. You can just go and refer. The design is ready. You just have to plug and play your code in there, and your project is ready to go. So you do not have to actually work on the initial design, test it, and then there might be some gaps and then refine it later. Those designs are already ready. You just have to plug in your code and your bot is ready to go. So it's always recommended that first refer a template before going in for your own design, right? And they also have solution accelerators in their marketplace where you can go and refer they're already built in projects are already built in solutions. So it gives you kinds of a kind of a heads up in already building solutions. Now in team structure, you can if you're already using Git, Bitbucket, SVN, or TFS, you can configure it here as well. So you can connect it for any version repository, anything that you want to do. And settings tab again is for admin configuring the general settings and UiPath. So right. So this is more about the UiPath tool. We'll see the demo in a bit. Okay. Now what tools is UiPath offering? Let's look at that. And guys, please keep putting your questions in the chat. I'll just look them in a while. All right. Okay. Right. So as far as I know, UiPath has around 18 plus products offering. So right from the ideation phase to the deployment and then dashboarding. So basically, through the entire journey, UiPath has products offering for the entire life cycle. So basically, we call this life cycle as RDLC, robotics development life cycle. And apart from that, starting from the ideation phase. So there is task mining and process mining. There is automation hub. There is task capture. So automation hub, like I said, for managing the pipelines, and task capture where you can generate, you can capture what the business user is doing, and then you can generate documents automatically with it. There is process mining and there is task mining. Process mining basically where you want to pick up the processes. Now most of the times you've seen in RPA sorry. So most of the times you've seen in RPA that the processes, those are pegged. There are gaps in the process, or those are not, the processes are not properly laid out, or you don't pick up the best of the process to automate. So ideally, the potential candidates are missed out. So if you do the process mining well, you might get more candidates for automation, and even the ideal candidates for automation. So process mining does that. Then on the build side, we have 3 different versions of UiPath. There is Studio X, Studio, and Studio Pro, and there is document understanding. So Studio again is for dev environment. Studio X is for business users. Studio Pro is for professional, and document understanding is for kind of an intelligent document processing. So basically, it has kind of an OCR for itself, where you can kind of build models for reading documents. So there are third-party tools as well for document understanding. But again, so UiPath has its own intelligent document processor where you can just go and train your models to read documents. Then on the management side, we have Orchestrator. Again, we'll just see Orchestrator in a bit, how we can manage the bots through a cloud environment, because the studio that I just showed you was just a dev environment. Then we have Automation Cloud. It has its own AI center. It has its own test manager where you can, connect with any third-party tools. Now for running, We have attended robots, which require a bit of human assistance. We have unattended bots, in which bot does everything. And we have test robots as well, which is capable of running your test automation or test scripts. Then engage, we have assistant, action center, apps, contact center solution, and chatbots. That means for keeping the customers engaged, we have assistant for, if you want to run your bot in attended mode, we use this assistant. So this can be utilized by the end customer or the SMEs. So, they can run their bots on the system using assistant. There is action center, which is, this is kind of a human in loop feature of UiPath, where, sometimes in middle of the processes, if certain kind of, things require approval, or your records or transactions require approval from humans, so bot can wait for those kind of approval. So this is kind of a human in loop automation feature, and which is very good and first of its kind in RPA. We have UiPath apps. Now, mostly what you've seen in RPA process, and this is a very important feature for, for RPA itself. Now, what you've seen in RPA, most of the automations fail around if the format of the file changes, or maybe the input changes, and, small changes can affect an entire automation. And then we find out ways that, how we can make this dynamic. But what if we completely avoid that feature? That means, what if you build a small app using UiPath apps, and then you give that app on the customer's phone, and maybe, they can input the data from there. As soon as the data is input from the app, your bot will be able to pick it up. So, that completely removes the feature of, sending in files, or maybe sending in huge chunk of data, or maybe, they can just control it using the apps. So let's say if you need 4 key parameters for the bot, that can just come through as an input from the user, and through a phone, or maybe through a, from the desktop. So, it becomes easy for the customer. Basically, it enhances the customer experience. So there is contact center solution, there is chat ops, and there is chatbots. So basically, you can, build. So there is an entire chat ops for, UiPath, where you can build chatbots, and, you can have your UiPath services integrated with it. You can, build up the corpus of the chatbot. So, over the time it increases, and, it can interact with customers in a very interactive way. On the last side of it is measure, where, once the RPA is done, and once the bot is being deployed or the products have been made, what management wants to see is kind of a dashboarding feature, where, they can track how the bot's doing, how is the environment doing, how is the infra side working on, how is the chatbot responding, how many responses were sent, are there any failures. So basically, a kind of a tracking for all the features there. So there is a product from UiPath itself, which is UiPath Insights. So we can, it's more like a dashboarding tool, where you can display all the information regarding processes, and all the information regarding your bots and your infra, and pretty much can take care of all those things. It can give you the, what are the savings, or how many FTs are required, what licenses are being utilized. So basically, all those information, it has, been laid out, and it's very easy to use. That. So these are more products from UiPath, and, they're building more functionalities as we go. And, UiPath tool updates very frequently. So, it's more of like, before even you can reach out to the feature, UiPath comes up with a new update, and, there are new features in the UiPath tool. So they are pretty good in, solving the errors, and then working on the updates. Right now, I think we'll see a quick demo. I'll come back to you guys for more questions, but let's just, quickly see one demo on it. I have a very small demo prepared, so just wanted to show you that. Let me just minimize everything first. Okay, so all right. So most of you would have seen this application. This is an order system application, right? Let me show you. So in this, bot will create an order from an input file. Right. Let me just quickly give you an overview of this, what you've done here. So this is an application which we call it as order system. Now, again, this is a test application right now. So I've built up a small demo on this, and this order system application. So user has to go and add the new order. So it's basically kind of a data feeding, where you put your order details into a system, and once you put your order details, it generates you an order reference that your order has been submitted. Bot reads this order reference, and then continues, and then goes for the next order. So basically, this is about, what demo I've prepared, and let's run this. Okay, soon you would see an application popping up. I'll guide you on the way. So if you see the play sign at the bottom, that means my bot has started. Okay, it would be doing the initial setup, reading the input file, getting the order details, and it would soon open up the order system application. Right, so if you see, it's logging in right now to the order system, and it's going for the order entry. So the first order details have been put, submitted the order, and you got the order reference. Read the order reference, it'll go for the next order. I think there are 2 or 3 orders that have details I've put, and it would hardly take a minute or so to just process the chunk and then give us the order details. Right, so that was it. And let me show you the details here. Right, so if you see, order details have been picked up, and once the transaction is finished, output saved to Excel, and done. I mean, this is how you see. And if you go for a manual processing, this might even take more time, but what hardly took 49 seconds from reading the Excel file, opening the application, processing the orders, and then giving you the order details, saving them back in the Excel, and done. Right. Now, let's look at some of the questions from the chat. All right, so I'll try and answer most of the questions, not all of the questions. I'll see, which is relevant to the topics right now, but I'll try and cover most of them. All right. For browser, is it similar to Selenium, where also we can record? I would not say similar to Selenium, but I would say, what Selenium does is more of on the browser side, whereas, recording feature, I would say, it's more enhanced in UiPath. But yeah, if you're talking about recording, it's a bit similar here also. But yeah, it is more enhanced here. You can record pretty much anything here. Or Playwright for testing JavaScript, where we also record the journey of a website. I didn't understand this completely. Playwright for testing JavaScript. Yeah, I mean, you can pretty much record anything you want, but again, you have to know what you're recording, and if you have to know that what features cannot be recorded. So like, if you're reading something, bot cannot record it. You have to insert it manually. If you're hovering your mouse somewhere, bot cannot record that. So you have to be aware about what you're recording at the end. Do we have package to automate Java application? We do have a package to automate Java application, but depends what kind of an application you're using. If it's a normal Java application, we automate it in a similar fashion the way we do a browser application. So it works pretty similar. I know some of the other RP tools, they offer a Java package, but it's not needed here. If you're performing actions through keyboard, the behavior will be same or different. Behavior in terms of Pragati, I didn't understand your question. Can you put this in a more detail again? Should we know any coding language for automating, specifically while automating test cases? Okay, like I said, UiPath has moved to a very low code platform. So, and you're talking just about automating test cases. So no coding is required. It has a very vast activity set. So if you know that, that's pretty much fine. Can we use Workday as well for the packages? Yes, there are packages for Workday as well. There is definitely integration for Workday. So if you Rishikesh, if you go and search for integration services Workday, you would find a vast activity set for Workday. I've used this personally as well. Can we use UiPath installed on base machine to automate application installed on the VM? Very good question. So yes, we can install the UiPath on the base machine and to automate application installed on the VM. So if you look, there are 2 features for that. There is a Citrix recorder. There is a computer vision recorder as well. Now, computer vision is kind of a AI integrated recorder which identifies the elements as if they're on your normal machine. Even if they're on the VM, it is able to identify your elements, and that is one of a kind feature in the RP tool that you see. Yes, Sudeep, it's possible. Can you please also share the link for UiPath to explore more about at the end of this call? Keshav, what do you mean link for UiPath? Do you need the link for UiPath tool or the Academy? And I'll share 2-3 links with you. So one for the Academy, UiPath installation and everything. So you can definitely look around that. Do we have Docker and Kubernetes implementation in UiPath? I mean, Docker and Kubernetes, I have tried Docker myself, but Docker and Kubernetes is more on the infra side where you prepare an image already. So you can do that. UiPath is already, it's accessible through command line. So it has its own CLI. And then, once you prepare an image, you can load that image whenever you need. So I have done Docker myself. So it's no big deal. But if you say, do we have Docker and Kubernetes implementation in UiPath? Inside UiPath, there's nothing for Docker and Kubernetes. It's on the infra side. So you can do that. Are you going to share the recording for this session at the end? Ravindra, I guess, you would have to speak to the organizer for that. I'm not sure if the recording, but yeah, this is being recorded. Suresh says unable to hear, no sound. Suresh, I think you would have rejoined again because I did not get any, complaints from the other participants. So Deepak replies, yes, all recordings are shared next day. Yes. So basically, Ravindra, your question is answered here. You would get all the recordings. Does community edition offer limited service compared to standard edition? Now that is one good feature with UiPath, Somnath. Community edition offers more features than the licensed version. I mean, most of the features are there in community. And why? Because UiPath has a kind of you can say a standard layout where first the features are released in the community. Once the features are stable and there are no more errors in the features, then they move it to the licensed version. But then there are some features which are there in the licensed version, like there is computer vision and there are API keys for Orchestrator. So those some features are there in license. Otherwise, most of the features and even the latest features are there in the community version. So it's the best learning features available. All right. Then what are the preconditions required to get started with UiPath automation? I guess nothing is required. So, you can just go ahead to their academy and learn. And, let me show you their academy real quick. Academy, just a sec. So if you see, this is the academy for UiPath. All right. I'll just put the link here. So I'll paste it. And there are courses and learning plans for every role. So if you're a manager, if you're an installation engineer, if you're from admin, if you want to be a developer, if you're a business user. So basically, if you're from communication mining, so you see Automation Explorer, if you just want to explore communication mining, if you're a solution arc, you're a citizen developer, you do not know anything and you just want to start into RPA, then advanced developer, there is process mining analyst, there is fast start, like if you just want to, quickly in like 57 hours, if you just want to quickly start the automation, you can do that. RP starter course, if you're new to this, you can just follow which plan or which course suits you. And then there is business analyst, there's implementation manager, right? Associate level also is there, test manager is there. So, basically for every role they have, like I said, they have a very good LMS. So you can definitely follow that. I'll post the links for everything at the end. All right. Please show a working demo of UiPath practice so that we can understand better. I hope Ashish, you did understand better. I hope my last demo was good for you. Yes, that'll be very helpful. Thank you. Could you please show how UiPath can be used for process mining? It would be, I will try and schedule another session for this process mining because, you can't just club it with the overview of UiPath because this is specific to a module, but, you can keep an eye for our upcoming videos. We'll definitely plan something on process mining. Depending upon demand, if you have the demand process mining, we can definitely, configure a video for the same. How RPA is beneficial to professionals who have zero background of coding and even not at all interested in the same. Okay, like I said, it's not just an RPA tool right now. You have everything. So you have an automation hub. If you want to ideate the journey, you can, if you're not interested in coding, you can, or coding as in development, you can go for testing, you can go for their installation journey, you can go for a business analyst. And even if you're not using RPA, you can still use their other tools. You can use their test manager, you can use their automation hub, just to track your processes. How it's tracking the processing loading time. So every time when I run a process, it gives me, so if you see at the end, you will come to know there's a time, this much time the bot took. But if you're talking about the processing time, every item time has been recorded. Apart from that, Ashish, if you need details around, how much time the bot took and, what can be recorded, there is a tool from or a product from UiPath, which is called as UiPath Insights. You can use that. UiPath supports 64-32-bit operating system. I would say both. Please show how demoed application is built in UiPath. How demoed application is built in UiPath. Okay. Like I showed you recording, you can, basically record that, but if you want to see, how it is built, it took me just half an hour to build this entirely. So, we have been reading the input file here. There's some activities to read the input file. Then there are some application activities. Let me show you. I'll just quickly, glide over this, not taking too much time around here. All right. So if you look at, go to button, click Windows. So you see all the emulation has been done here. And this is how the bot is following. Can we integrate UiPath with other test frameworks, say robot? Other test frameworks, say robot. I think, Keithan, you're saying robot from Python, right? I haven't done that integration yet, but yeah, you can definitely call any Python script in UiPath. So I would leave that to you. You can definitely try. Any package for RSA Archer? I don't think so for RSA Archer. There's a package yet, but yeah, you can keep an eye on the managed packages. Just see if you can find something similar. Site. So we can record the process and automate that, how it's efficient when the process needs to make new decision. I mean, see, the bots take decisions which are data guided. So, basically there should be data supporting it, how the bot needs to take decision. And obviously, you should, provide the data set to bots so that, it can take a guided decision on the basis of that. And obviously, it has to be designed at the design time, if you want to make some decisions. How we can fetch data from a table on UI to Excel. I mean, it's very easy. So you have a screen scraper and you have data scraping. So you can, start the scraping wizard, go to any browser and, select it, it'll scrape it right away for you. It's not a very big deal to do it. So it's hardly a few clicks. So just, Disha, go and check their data scraping wizard. Then if you're performing actions through keyboard, the behavior of recording will be same or different. Okay. Keyboard shortcuts are not recorded through the recorders. Recorders only identifies the click events. So basically, if you're clicking somewhere, that would be recorded. So, even reading and hovering are not recorded. So keyboard action shortcuts are not recorded. You would have to go and manually insert them. Pragati. Can you show data scraping demo using UiPath? Data scraping demo, we are a little short on time, Mohammed, but it's very easy. If you go and use it, it's hardly a few clicks, but I'll see if I have time, I'll show you a small, quick demo on UiPath using data scraping. Can you please explain about how scraping works in UiPath? I mean, yeah, there is an entire, there's an entire demo on scraping here. If you go for RPA Developer Foundation, right? So if you have any developer questions, go for Developer Foundation, and there is an entire demo on scraping. So somewhere in, sorry. Okay, no, this is Citizen Developer, sorry. You should go in Developer Foundation, which is here. And then, most of your questions that I've asked for demos, and they have included demos here as well. Okay, so basically you have everything here. So in UI automation, you can see that, and data tables and Excel automation, you can see recordings here. And they have videoed everything. So, you would find that all here. Can we perform data mining activities with UiPath? I mean, with UiPath tool, you can do it, not with UiPath Studio. So in UiPath, there is already, a separate space for data mining. You can do it there. They have a different product for your data mining, which is integrated in Orchestrator. Advantages of using UiPath over other tools. I mean, if after finishing the demo, you're asking for advantages, I mean, there are a bunch of advantages. There's no other tool that offers so many wizards, so many, recording techniques, or so many, product offerings where you have an end-to-end automation feasible, and it's very stable. And apart from that, not just that, their community is entirely free. Their academy is entirely free. They offer certifications, which is free of cost. I mean, there are some certifications which are paid, but most of the certifications are free of cost. They have a very, logically built and descriptive academy. So you can go and view their videos. And these are not just theories, these are just, these are videos with small quizzes at the end. Can we send keystrokes to the application? We can. I mean, there are a lot of activities for keystrokes. So if you just go and search for, let's say, so if you just go and search for send hotkey, you would find an activity. So you can definitely send keystrokes to the applications while running it in background. Yes, it's feasible. You do not have to make any registry changes in UiPath at least. So it's feasible here. Any certification available and the importance of certificate? Yes, if you go to Academy, so most of your questions would be answered from the Academy itself. So if you go to Academy under the certification tab, at the moment there are 2 certificates available. So if you see 3 at the moment, certificate RPA Associate, then there is Advanced RPA, and then you have Business Analyst. These are paid. Only these 3 certifications are paid, but whatever you do from the Academy, those are free. And importance is, not many people are certified in UiPath. So if you're going for certification, there is definitely a chance of standing out of the crowd. Any certification available and importance is done. Do we need to make any changes in registry? Not required. No registry changes. It works even in minimize mode. There are different kind of input and output methods available. There is no extra configuration required of it. In reference of loading time, I meant if you're processing a long process that contains multiple steps, that after clicking on submit, it takes some seconds and then processing. Yeah, like I said, Ashish, we need to specifically explicit weights. There are definitely, there are dynamic weights, there are, delays, so you can utilize all that. And this is a common feature across RPSO. Which tool is best for process mining out of UiPath, Selenoid, and IBM process mining? See, it depends upon now. Most of these features, depends upon the kind of you're using, but UiPath definitely has a good hand in process mining. But I guess Selenoid is basically running from a long time, so and people are more on Selenoid right now. But again, UiPath has come up with the offering process mining, which you can definitely use. It's new and it's interactive. It has new features, so you can definitely learn that. Thank you for joining, Ravindra. Thank you so much, Ravindra. Can community version be used by organization? You can use it community. There is also a CE version which you can use it, but it would be violating the policy if you are actually utilizing for development in that. So there might be audits for that. So you can use community across the organization, and even we use community across the organization for learning and doing some POCs and activities. But again, if you're using it for any business or commercial purpose, it's recommended to use the version CE or buying a license from UiPath. Learning plans are chargeable or free of cost. The entire academy is free of cost, not just learning plan, their resources, their certification, their learning plans, their dashboard courses, everything is free of cost. Now I'll just put some links here. Okay. So the first link is for academy. And if you have to download UiPath, you can just go for download UiPath community edition. Let me open that link for you quick. Now this is from forum. Let me check. Okay, Bing search is not that good. Let's see if it pops up the correct page. Yep, I guessed it. So you can just go on Google and say, and you can also build up, kind of cross-platform automations also, which works on Linux, which works on Mac. Download, why isn't it showing up the correct one? Install Studio. No, I think I'm registered. It's not taking me to that tool directly. Okay, I think I remember that. Cloud.uipath.com. You can go and register here. This is the orchestrator link for UiPath. And if you go to the game homepage for this, basically, okay. So if you see at the right hand side here, you can go and download the UiPath. But there's also a link from the academy. I'm just not getting the hold of it at the moment. So let me try again. Because there's a form that they ask you to fill. You can directly download it from this portal as well. And there is an official link as well. Download UiPath Community Edition. I think this one is the one. Yep, got it. So you can go and fill up this form. They would send you a link to download. Any tutorial available on YouTube? There are multiple tutorials on YouTube, Abhishek. You can refer any you want for. And there are official YouTube videos from UiPath itself. So you can refer that. All right. Any more questions, guys? Anybody? I hope you guys had a nice session. This was just to accelerate your knowledge on UiPath and how it can, enable you. So, if you want to be a learner, I would say, the time is right. You can start learning UiPath. Thank you, Anita. Thank you, Sagar. Thank you, Rajesh. I hope you guys like the session. All right. So, if the demand is more, we can always come up with more videos. And, I've seen people commenting on for process mining and stuff. And we'll come back with more videos. Thank you for being patient. I hope I answered all of your queries. Have a nice day, guys. Bye. All right. Thank you guys. Signing off. Bye.